In this video, I will discuss some rotational motion problems from previous year's question papers of JEE Main. This is the first question. Initial angular velocity of a circular disk of mass m is omega 1. Then two small spheres of mass m are attached gently to two diametrically opposite points on the edge of the disk. What is the final angular velocity of the disk? You can pause the video and attempt this question. So initially the disk of mass m is rotating with the angular velocity omega 1, and then two small spheres of mass m are attached at diametrically opposite points on the edge, and the angular velocity will change to omega 2. The first configuration will have moment of inertia I1 as half ma square, where a is the radius of the disk. This is a standard result which we are using. In the second case, the moment of inertia of the system is moment of inertia of the disk, which is half ma square, plus moment of inertia contribution due to the two small spheres of mass m, that is ma square into 2. Since there is no external torque acting on the system, the angular momentum is conserved. So I1 omega 1 equal to I2 omega 2. So a square will cancel on both the sides, so it will be half m omega equal to half m plus 2m omega 2. So from this you get omega 2 as m divided by m plus 4m into omega 1. So the correct option is option 3. This is the next question. Moment of inertia of a circular wire of mass m and radius r about its diameter is. You can pause and attempt this question. So let the ring of mass m and radius r be in the xy plane. So the moment of inertia of this ring about the z-axis, which is perpendicular to this plane of the ring, is mr square. This is a trivial relation because moment of inertia of point mass is mr square, and all the elements of this ring are at a distance r from this axis z. So moment of inertia about z-axis is mr square. And then using perpendicular axis theorem, which is applicable for a laminar body, Ix plus Iy, that is moment of inertia about x-axis plus moment of inertia about y-axis, is equal to Iz. And Ix equal to Iy because of symmetry. So this will become 2Ix, and Ix is same as I about diameter, because if we extend this x-axis, it will become a diameter of this circular wire. So from this you get the moment of inertia about the diameter as half mr square. Correct option is option 1. This is the next question. A particle of mass m moves along a line PC with velocity v as shown. What is the angular momentum of the particle about O? You can pause and attempt this question. The angular momentum is given as r cross p. It's the momentum of the linear momentum, and p is m into v. So this is r and v into sine theta, where theta is the angle between the vectors r and p. So the r vector is from here to here, and the velocity vector is in this direction. So theta is this angle. So this can be rewritten as m into v into r sine theta. This is r, and this angle is theta. So r sine theta is this perpendicular distance L. So it is L into m into v. So the correct option is option 2. This is the next question. A circular disk X of radius r is made from an iron plate of thickness T. Another disk Y of radius 4r is made from an iron plate of thickness T by 4. The relation between the moment of inertia Ix and Iy is. 4 options are given. You can pause and attempt this question. So the disk X is of radius r and thickness t, and the disk Y, the radius is 4 times more and the thickness is 4 times less, it's t by 4. Moment of inertia of a disk is half mr square. That's a standard result which we are using here. So for the disk is it's half mx into r square, radius is r, and the mass of the disk X is surface density into the area is pi r square. For the disk Y, the moment of inertia is half its mass my into radius square, radius is 4r now, so it's 4r square, and the mass of the disk Y is the surface density into the area, and surface density here is 4 times less than the X disk because the thickness is 1 by 4 and the material is thin, both are iron. So since the thickness has gone down by 4, the surface density has gone down by 4. So it's sigma by 4 into the area is pi, radius square is 4r square. So Iy by Ix, half will cancel, sigma will cancel, pi will cancel, and r raised to the power 4 will cancel. So the remaining quantities will be 1 by 4, 4 raised to the power 4. So it's 4 cube, so 64. So answer is option 4. This is the next question. A particle performing uniform circular motion has angular momentum L. If the angular frequency is doubled and its kinetic energy is half, then the new angular momentum is. You can pause and attempt this question. So the angular momentum L is I omega. In the second case, the angular velocity is increased twice and the kinetic energy is half of the first case one. And kinetic energy of a rotating system is a rotational kinetic energy, that is half I omega square. So kinetic energy in the second case is half I2 omega 2 square, and kinetic in the first case is half I omega square. So half can be cancelled, and I omega 2 square can be written as I omega 2 into 2 omega, because omega 2 is 2 omega, and I omega can be written as I omega into omega. I omega 2 is L2, the angular momentum of the system in the second case, and I omega is L. So omega will cancel from both the sides. So we'll get L2 equal to L by 4. So the correct option is option 1. This is the next question. Let F be the force acting on a particle having position vector r, and tau be the torque of this force about origin. Then 4 options are given. All the 4 options are talking about r dot tau and f dot tau. You can pause it when you attempt this question. Here is the solution. The torque is given as r cross f, moment of the force, and we have to find r dot tau and f dot tau. R dot tau is r dot r cross f, and f dot tau is f dot r cross f. This is a scalar triple product of 3 vectors, and if any 2 vectors of the scalar triple product are same, then the answer will be 0. We can understand this in another way also. R cross f is a vector perpendicular to both r and f. So this vector is perpendicular to r. So r dotted with a vector perpendicular to itself is 0. A dot b is 0 if a and b are perpendicular, because a dot b is a cos theta, and when theta is 90, a dot b is 0. Similarly, f dot r cross f is perpendicular to both r and f, so it's f dotted with a vector which is perpendicular to f. So these are two perpendicular vectors, so dot product is 0. So the correct option is option 4. This is the next question. Which of the following statements is false for a particle moving in a circle with constant angular speed? Velocity vector is tangent to the circle. Acceleration vector is tangent to the circle. Acceleration vector points to the center of the circle. Velocity and acceleration vectors are perpendicular to each other. You can pause and attempt this question. So in uniform circular motion, the direction of velocity vector will be in the tangential direction. So option 1 is true. Option 2, the acceleration vector is in the radial direction. The option 2 says the acceleration vector is tangent to the circle. So option 2 is false. Option 3 says the acceleration vector points towards the center of the circle. That is true. Option 4 states the velocity vector is perpendicular to acceleration vector. That is true. So the only option that is false is option 2. Then the next question is, solid sphere is rotating in free space. If the radius of sphere is increased, keeping the mass same, which one of the following statements, which one of the following will not be affected? Moment of inertia, angular momentum, angular velocity, rotational kinetic energy. You can pause and attempt this question. Here is the solution. So your solid sphere of mass m, the radius is increased, keeping the mass same. In the second case, the mass is more distributed in the sense the mass is far away from the axis. So moment of inertia in the second case will be more than the first case. The angular momentum of both the cases will be same because angular momentum is conserved when there is no external torque acting on the system. When angular momentum is conserved, angular momentum is I into omega. So I1 omega 1 equal to I2 omega 2, and I2 is more, so omega 2 will be less. And kinetic in the first case is half I1 omega 1 square. Kinetic in the second case half I2 omega 2 square. So I1 omega 1 and I2 omega 2 can be cancelled. So K1 and K1 by K2 will be omega 1 by omega 2. So the one which is not changing is the angular momentum. So the correct option is option 2. This is the next question. One solid sphere A, another hollow sphere B are of same mass and same outer radii. The moment of inertia about their diameters are respectively IA and IB, such that four options are given. So they are basically relating IA and IB. Fourth option is IA by IB equal to dA by dB, where dA and dB are the densities. You can pause and attempt this question. So one is a solid sphere, another is a hollow sphere. So in the hollow sphere, the mass is distributed more in the sense the mass is at the farther distance, and moment of inertia for point mass is mr square, and moment of inertia for distributed mass can be obtained by integrating over small elemental masses. So when the mass is more distributed, the moment of inertia will be more. So the moment of inertia of the hollow sphere is more than the moment of inertia of the solid sphere. So the correct option is option 3. This is the next question. An annular ring with inner and outer radii R1 and R2 is rolling without slipping with uniform angular speed. The ratio of forces experienced by the two particles situated on inner and outer parts of the ring F1 by F2 is. You can pause the video and attempt this question. Here is the solution. So this is an annular ring. Inner radius is R1, outer radius is R2, and there are two particles, one particle on the inner radii and another particle on the outer ring. So the force acting on this particle will be the normal reaction, and there will be a centrifugal force which is equal to m omega square into the radius. So in particle 1, the centrifugal force will be m omega square R1, and this in the second outer ring it will be m omega square R2. So the ratio of forces acting on the two particles is the ratio of the normal reaction, which is R1 by R2. So the correct option is option 4.